All right. So I've been inspired to make some videos on how to use Algodoo to simulate physical experiments. For example, maybe a block or multiple masses dropping in the air under gravity, or maybe some objects floating or sinking in water uh, based on their density, or maybe a pendulum swinging. All kinds of physical experiments that some people might be inspired to do, especially students in K through 12, also in college. But doing and don't get me wrong, doing physical experiments with real hardware is great. I mean, I teach engineering, so this is something that I find very important. That said, simulations can be very beneficial also. For one thing, it can be costly and also time consuming to build a physical experiment. Where here, if you're using simulations, you can just draw blocks and drop them under gravity, and you can draw multiple um, blocks and drop them under gravity, or anything like that. Or maybe you want to simulate pendulums with different heights. Well, if you were doing that with physical hardware, you would need to build two of the same setup, and then it's just like I said, either costly and time consuming. Where here, I can just draw two rods with different lengths and do the experiment. Um, this is a very cool tool, and I'm going to walk you through. It's free too, so thanks to the company that makes Algodoo for making this available. Um, so right now, I just want to introduce you to some of these. There's a bunch of tools here and things like that. I'm just going to play in this introduction video, and then as I continue to make some videos, we'll do specific experiments like the ones I had mentioned already. Okay, and hopefully that inspires students to also make their own experiments. I mean, really, there's no limit to the kind of things you can make with this. It's pretty impressive. Now, I'm not going to say I'm an expert. It's not one of my main simulation tools, but I think it's a great tool for especially K through 12. Um, so yeah, okay, let's get started. Um, let's see. So first of all, this is sort of how it opens up the first time you download it. So I'm going to make a new scene, and I'm just going to choose default. Again, I don't know every detail, so you can just, if you're a student, you should just play. Choose a different scene and see what that does. Okay, so here we are. It's blank, and you've got a ground. Now you'll notice down here you've got gravity. So I can actually click that and turn that off, but I want gravity. And this is air resistance, air drag, and I can turn that off too. I could turn on a grid if I wanted that, but I'm going to turn that off. The play button will run the simulation. This is the back button, so you can reset the scene. After playing it, I like to reset and run it again. You can also move around. Well, actually, you can move things around or zoom in and out. Things like that. Another thing you can do actually, if you right click gravity, you can actually change. Right now it's 9.8 meters per second squared, which is gravity on Earth. But if you wanted to change it to gravity on Mars or something like that, you can. You can just drag this and change it, or even the direction. Right now, gravity is acting down, um, but you could change the direction of gravity. Oh, this shows. Oh, I see. You can show the gravity field, and okay. Um, so you can do that. Same with air resistance. You can see here they even have the equation that governs air drag. It's a function of the diameter or the diameter, even tells you, and the velocity of the object squared. So actually, the faster you go, the force against you is starts to um, get bigger and bigger and bigger. Um, but you can change these, these values. Right now, this is 0.01. I could change. That's the squared term is the quadratic term. You can also add wind and the angle and stuff like that. But I'm gonna remove air drag. Well, we can play with it, but I'm gonna remove air drag for now and make it more ideal. This is another cool thing about simulation versus experiment. Sometimes you want to experiment under gravity without in a what we would call vacuum, with so no air resistance. And then you might want to turn on air resistance and see how that affects everything. Um, all right. So yeah, those are the important options down here. And now all these allow you to interact with the simulation. Actually, these ones allow you to kind of interact with the simulation while it's running, actually, or without. And then these allow you to create objects, and these allow you to sort of interact with those objects. And I'll show you some examples. Um, but right now, let's draw something. I mean, right now, if I push play, it's running, but there's nothing in the scene to do anything. So let's draw something. I can make a square, I can make a rectangle, a circle. Um, I can create a plane. Maybe I want to create a ramp. So I can click on this, and then there's a ramp. Maybe I want to slide a block along a ramp. So I can make a ramp, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to do Control Z or Command Z just to delete it. Actually, let's make it again. Let me show you. So I can either do undo. That's my undo button is Control Z if you know how to do that. Or I can click on it and hit delete, and that'll get rid of it. Okay, what's this one? Luckily, if you hover it, you can sort of see this creates, oh, a rope. Okay, great. Well, let's see what that does. Let's do a rope. Um, so it makes so you could do pulleys maybe, and now if I hit play, let's hit play. Look at that. It acts like a rope. Oh, and it looks like it's pinned to where you started it. You could do chain, etc. Okay. All right. I'm going to um, delete that. Right now, so this is again just the introductory use of this software, so you should just play. Now this is a free, you can see a polygon or polygon tool, and it's free form. So now you can drag around and it'll close the loop, something like that, let's say. Okay. Now that's a solid object. And if I play under gravity, hey, look at that. Okay. Um, I could also, let's do the eraser. So now I'm going to, oh, that's a big brush. So let's shrink that down. There you go. I'm going to cut a cavity in this. Okay, so now it's a bucket. And actually, I'm going to erase that in like that piece. I'm going to clean it up. Yeah, all right. Now, let's go ahead. And now there's separate pieces. Look at that. That little sort of four arrow direction thing is just you can move things around. Um, let's hit play. Look at that. So there's the physics, it drops, and under gravity. Well, look, let's turn off gravity. Nothing. It's running, but there's no gravity. There's no force acting on it, so it's not going to drop. Let's turn back it on. Let's see, what else can we do? So Another thing we can do is, so you should play with all these. What are that? Oh, that'll make a gear, right? This will make that's a, it'll make a brush tool. So you could have done that, that, we could make one in a second. Um, well, let's see. If I make, let's do one. So there you go. Could have just made that. So now hit play, there's a saw, it's now already solid. So instead of erasing, I could have just made that, but and then you can play with the brush. You can say that's big, so you can play with the brush size. You can make an object. Oh, right. Oh, look at that. It's the physics is still running, so it just dropped. So now let's go back and let's see what else I can do. So So let's play with some of these. So check this out. So this is, you can attach objects to each other, and you can if you read that, you can weld it to either the object behind it or the background. So for example, if I click right there, let's hit play. You notice that that is now pinned to the background, so it's not going to move. But let's go ahead and move it. Let's move it and let's pin it. Let's see if I can just pin it to each other right there. And yep, now they're dropping together. So if you wanted to make a single object made of multiple objects sort of welded together, then you can do that. Um, Here's something cool, which will be very useful for a pendulum. This is the axle tool. So right now, I can make, instead of welding it to the background, I just pin it to the background. So now if I hit play, it should swing. Ooh, cool. And that thing, I'm surprised that thing hasn't fallen out yet. Let's see. Yep, there it goes. There it goes. Let's see. No, actually, let's do Oh, hit play. Now watch this. Now while it's swinging, I can actually take this tool and, oops, look at this. Okay, look at that. So I can drag it like around, and then I can just drop it. So the simulation's running right now, but I'm holding it, and now I let go. Look at that. So that was cool. Let's catch it again. Let's see if I can catch it. Yeah, so I can catch it. Um, what else can I do? I can do a couple things. I can draw. Look at that. I can throw it. Oops, I lost it. I can zoom. Let's zoom out. Um, and then let's bring it back into the window. So things like that. All right, let's go back. Also, I could have zoomed out. Like you can see, this axle is very big compared to the object. So I could have drawn the object bigger, and so you can play with, sort of ratios. Um, like Yeah, like let's see. Let's play with that for a second. Let's delete this. We'll redo it. Okay. So now I'm gonna zoom. Let's see. Well, let's do one times. Let's see what that looks like. I just want to compare the. It's still big, so let me zoom out. So that was zero point 0.5. Now, if I draw something, it that I just want the sort of the axle to be a little smaller. Oh, um, hmm, well, I guess I could zoom now if I wanted to. Something like that. So I'll let you play with it. Um, let's go back and let's erase a hole. Now here's something cool. So again, let's play it. Drops, they drop together. Okay. Now I can right click. This is going to be really useful. I can right click. Let's go back to the graph. Okay, let's highlight. Let's right click. And now look at all these other options you have. For example, you have liquefy. This is pretty cool. You just turned that object that I was highlighting into water. Look at that. So now it does water dynamics. Pretty cool simulation. Here's another one. Check this out. This is a knife tool. So I can actually, I'm going to cut this. So I haven't let go of the mouse yet. Look at that. I just cut it while it was simulating. So you can cut a hole or, all types of cool stuff while it's running. Um, let's go back. So there's a lot. Now let me go back. So this is liquefy. Let me go back to this one. So I don't want to liquefy. I still want it to be solid. We can actually see dynamics, so that'll be great later. Um, you can always change the color. Now here's an important section, the material. So you can change the mass or the density, or if it's sliding, you can add friction. Coefficient of restitution is interesting. That's how bouncy it is. So for example, let's do a 1, and let's hit play. And it does a little more, I mean, it's hard to tell because of the water. Let's go back to, okay, let's actually, well, anyway, I'll let you play with the bounciness of it. Um, Again, material properties. So, um, attraction, I guess more like, I guess how it's attracted to um, other masses. Currently it's 0. Maybe that's for sort of planets and that kind of thing, simulations. But I haven't played with attraction. Da, da, da. Some information about that. You can tell, it'll tell you the air. You draw it and it'll tell you the area and the mass if you know the density. Da, da, da. Anyway, so again, I don't know every detail. I'd have to play with it, but I just want to demonstrate a few things so that you can start drawing and playing and cutting and moving around. Let's see, actually, talking about moving around. Let's grab this thing. Look at that. So you can you know change things around. Let's see what that does. Cool. And then look, I can move it around. Oops, move that. I can drag this one or I can drag that one. Um, let's go back. Let's do a couple of other things. So we're not doing any specific experiments right now. We're just playing around. Here's a spring. So let's attach let's attach a spring like over here. Now I probably have to weld this to the background, but let's test. Nope, I don't. It automatically assumes it's welded there. So now I can move it around and let's zoom out. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is, flying away. Um, this is a thruster. So now I can take this. Um, okay. Oops. Oh, I can right click and rotate it. So I want to thrust that way. Hit play. Oh, thruster. Let's do I can control it. So, um, Let's see if it'll throw. Oh, there it goes. So now it's thrusting. I know you can make it such that I needed a much larger force. It was thrusting earlier, but the force wasn't large enough. I know there's a way to turn it on. Let's see. Activation. Okay. Press a key. I'm going to do space bar. Okay. There you go. Cool. Oops. Let's delete it. Okay. So now, if I space bar, see how it can. Let me move this around a little bit. It's getting in the way. Oh, need to play. Let's rotate this here. And now, check this out. I can thrust. Look at this. Oops. Let's increase. Oops. Let's increase the thruster even more. I think I'm just too heavy. Or, instead of increase the thruster, let's decrease the mass. Let's reduce it down to like, 2 kilograms. And now, oops. There you go. So, there you go. And you can kind of, let's see if I can just do enough. It looks like my computer's having a hard time with this simulation, but um, at least the interactive part. But there it is. So like I keep clicking the space bar, I want to keep it upright, but I don't want it to flip over. I'm just playing around. So anyway, um, yeah, I think that hopefully that's a good start to just play with it for this first experiment. In the future, when I'll make more videos on, let's do some more um, physics-like experiments for all ages, and we'll use Algodoo to build those up and simulate. Like I said, like the pendulums, for example. Um, Here's a challenge. See if you can. I've shown you everything you really need to create a pendulum and simulate it swinging. See if you can do it before I even make the video for that. All right, awesome. I think I'll stop here and let you get started. All right.